All right, it's 1 o'clock. We're going to try to keep this on time. If everybody can grab a seat, you can sit with your teams, you can sit with your friends, you can sit wherever as long as you sit. See a few more coming in the door. Quite a few more coming in the door. Grab a seat, folks. We're going to get ready to get started here. Okay, a couple programming notes. I know you guys all know how I am about cell phones, but if you haven't had the opportunity, please let your parents know that this is on our YouTube channel. Mr. Bartholomew is live streaming the Sports Awards today. So if you want to take a minute to quick jot a text. A few other notes. We are pretty full. We've got a big slate here, and not unlike you guys as students, we've had several coaches asked to go first, which is kind of fun because I always love to see the student come out in our coaches. But before we start, as a female athletic director, I would be remiss if I did not discuss the fact that this summer we will be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Yeah, woohoo! Without Title IX, I know I would not be standing in front of you today or had the experiences in my 51 years without having had the opportunities Title IX provided. In brief, Title IX states that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. As an institution, it does and has received federal financial assistance. Kents Hill honors Title IX and has done an outstanding job of supporting our girls' sports programs and growing them. One of the most proud moments as your AD has been the opportunity to see women lead 3 of our boys' athletic teams this season, unlike many of our counterparts in the NEPSAC, and that was just terrific. So to Rake, if you're here, and to Lexi, you guys have been groundbreakers. Congratulations. This year, we witnessed our cross-country, field hockey, and girls lacrosse teams win MASAD championships, a vast improvement with our softball program being led by 2 fabulous female coaches in Coach Pickett and Coach Mclaughlin. We had a state champion in track and field in Rose Jenkins in the high jump. We saw Lily Dwyer as the sole female golfer on our state champion golf team, and we watched Hannah Burke ride over the trails in our mountain biking team as the only female athlete in the program. Pre-COVID, we hosted and proudly started the first ever girls varsity ice hockey prep cup, a program that was run on the boys' side for over 9 years previous without a female version to go against it. A moment that I know that Coach Arsenault, Coach Nanoff, and I were extremely proud of. Last year, we had our first NCAA Division I full scholarship female ski racer in Antony, a moment that I will not forget in watching her sign her letter of intent to Plymouth. It was very, very special. The bar has been set for our female athletes. It is now time to charge our female athletes who will be returning to the Hill next year to continue to raise that bar. The sky is the limit, and yet again today, you guys witnessed history being made when U.S. Soccer has now agreed to finally pay the women's soccer players in the U.S. Soccer program equally to the men. So our victories continue, but they have not stopped. It is very hard to look at the very young faces while I look at some of our female coaches in the room and see in you the things that we knew and had to fight for. While you still will fight, we have so many women to be grateful for and thankful for in breaking down a lot of those barriers. So take these opportunities, ladies. Seek whatever goals you have athletically and continue to achieve. You guys can do amazing things. And please make sure everybody takes a chance to celebrate this summer. It is indeed a milestone that Title IX is turning 50, and we are finally seeing the benefits of the legislation that was passed back in 72, excuse me. All right, so there are my opening remarks. I will not belabor any of that, but I'd like to ask Martha to come on up to the stage to get us started. What I'm going to ask our student athletes, if you are an award winner, please come up to the stage by way of one of the sets of stairs here. You're going to remain on the stage once your coach has given you your plaque. After the entire team has received their awards, we're going to ask you to head out to the lobby where we will take some pictures. Sound like a deal? All right, without further ado, girls varsity tennis.
Thank you. I hid my speech. I'd like to begin with gratitude for the many people who helped me navigate the world of coaching at Kents Hill this spring. Thank you to Ms. Hambros, Mr. Corey, who's not here, and Mr. Heron for answering my countless emails, for sure. The words that sum up this season of girls varsity tennis are perseverance and improvement. The progress each player made from the first practice to MASADS was extraordinary in all areas, basic strokes, consistency, ball placement, and overall strategy. The players remained focused in practice and competitive during matches, all while maintaining a positive attitude, dealing with any frustration, for some by calling out lobster, and finding joy in their sweaty pursuit of becoming better tennis players. I'm proud of each of them for their progress and determination and mature sportsmanship during matches, and thank all of them for making this first season of coaching so sweet and satisfying and fun for me. Oh, didn't expect that. All right. With a team full of players who develop like rock stars, it was really hard to identify the most improved player. That said, Dana stands out as a leader in her improvement as a player. She started the season with little tennis experience and no formal training. She even surprised her mother. She made the team. And concluded by getting to the second rounds of MASADS, playing as our second singles player. She remained diligent about improving her skills by working hard during each drill, usually with her speaker, blasting some good motivational music for us, and seeking advice and tips wherever she could find them, and practicing her ground strokes and serves in her free time. She might be naturally coordinated, athletic person, but it was her hard work and persistence that made her improve at lightning speed. So the 2022 Girls Varsity Tennis Most Improved Player goes to Dana Varney. The Most Valuable Player Award goes to an experienced, gritty, highly skilled player who served as one of our captains. In one sense, Amita was our most valuable player simply because she won so many matches, some with ease, and others which tested her as she came from behind to win. At matches, opposing coaches often congratulated her on her skill level and her success. With all of her wins, however, what made Amita truly our MVP was her choice to help her teammates during practice by offering tips and encouragement, at one point even running a drill, I think more than once. And during matches, she modeled terrific focus and competitiveness. It's really impressive, as well as a calm demeanor, and most importantly, sportsmanship, often congratulating her opponent on a great shot and never, this is amazing, showing any frustration. No lobster for her, I don't think. The 2022 Girls Varsity Tennis Most Valuable Player Award goes to Amita Nanda. Hey there, kiddo. The Coaches Award goes to one of the most hardworking, kind, and relatable people on the team. In fact, I would call Naima the heart of our team. She made sure everyone was okay and had a smile on her face, and a literal skip in her step, whether she was practicing or competing or about to practice or about to compete. She oozed positivity and cared deeply about the team and the game, and as one of our captains, served as a key bridge between the players and me. But don't let Naima's sweet smile fool you. She came to practice each day to improve, listening closely and analyzing her game, and she went into every match with a competitive mindset, focused on playing her best tennis. The 2022 Girls Varsity Team Coaches Award goes to Naima O'Rourke. All right, we're all set? Thank you all. So the whole team is going to come and we're going to take a picture? Just the award winners? No. Really? Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming today to see this show here. I'm here to talk about baseball team. I just want to thank everybody who had a part in this in the athletic department. This whole show starts off in December when I start trying to make the schedule and calling schools, and we go back and forth a million times. And there were a lot of changes this year, even during the season. So thanks to all of those involved, from Nan to Jake to Tim, Josh, and everybody down there in the Athletic Center. Really thank you so much for all of those, the help along the way. And the support, and the support as well. I want to get to the awards first, and then I'd like to highlight some of the season for me, but I kind of just want to go to the awards first because I kind of want them standing up here with me. So for this year's MIP award, goes to an individual, a senior, who really worked on his craft of pitching this year. And at one point, I kind of actually said to my assistant coach, who I'd like to thank as well, Will Briggio. He couldn't make it today because of work. I leaned over and said, hey, is he our number one pitcher or what? A guy who hadn't pitched at all in his time here. And he turned out a wonderful, excellent, complete game victory against Berwick, which in fact is coached by his uncle. So there's a family affair there. It was a great time to turn it on and have a great game, Jack Bonifon. And to embarrass him too, so that's good. This year's Coaches Award. Had some things written down here as well. This is a guy who makes everybody play better around him. And he's, not only that, but he is a pretty gosh darn good player as well. He's a smart player, he battles, he's very versatile, played many, many positions for us. He played anywhere on the field, anywhere we needed him to go. Often came in late in the game for pitching, solid shortstop play, had some key hits for us. This year's Coaches Award, just keeping the team together at all times and keeping us focused, keeping me focused, Kevin McElhaney. And for MVP, for the baseball team this year, he kept us in games. He kept us in games and had a chance to win almost every time he went out there. He was pretty much our ace pitcher this year, although Bonnie gave him a good run for his money. He was a difference maker in games. I can remember him coming into that Berwick game, and he missed the beginning of it because he was at a college tour, but he came in and played a flawless shortstop. Made a key play for us, had a key hit as well. He did everything possible to give us a chance to win, especially in the championship game on Saturday. He was a workhorse against BB&N, who was an ISL school, bigger school, kept us in that game, pitching. And this past Saturday, tough, close game loss, but it wasn't because of his pitching. Jackson Melendi. I just want to say a few things about this season with these guys standing with me. We have a great core of young guys on this team, the freshmen and the sophomores. They did whatever needed to be done. They, despite not playing as much as they probably wanted to, and they never, most importantly, they didn't complain about that. So that would be Trevor, that'd be Shrey, Ethan Smith, Teddy Ballgame, Ted Alphon, Walker, Will Precourt, and Garrison. Just a great group of guys to be around all the time. Made it fun to be at the ballpark. We had guys that never played the game before, who came out day to day in and day out, worked hard to learn the game, to develop as players. So thanks to Matt Ianta and Antoine and Pavel for that. You guys made a great core here with this team. The juniors, we have some juniors on, 2 juniors, Wallace and T. Smith. They solidified our defense, had some key moments in games for us. They provided a lot of pop in the lineup for us as well. Looking for some great things for them, stepping up as seniors next year. But most importantly, the seniors. Pavel again, Jack Power, Jackson Melendi, Alan Weiss, Kev, Gary Mandia, Bonnie. They've been the rocks of this team. And thanks for sticking with us. You know, we've had 2 games in the last 3 years, so it was a big thing for you to come out and solidify this team this year. And you kept me in it, being in the van with me, keeping my head in the game, on and off the field. So thank you for that. Highlights for this year, as I'm going to finish up with highlights. The gutsy performance by everybody at BB&N. Again, a bigger school. We drove down 3 hours, played them on a Friday night. It was late. Melendi did a great job on the mound and had some huge, we all as a team had some huge defensive plays in that game, keeping us close. We had a couple team dinners that were excellent, great character building moments, but they showed great character and they showed excellent conduct in representing the school when we were out at those events. Those were at Buffalo Wild Wings and Texas Roadhouse, if anybody wanted to know that. Another memorable moment would be Bonnie's complete game win against Berwick and against his uncle. Just a huge game all around for all of us, but particularly for him in that moment. The walk-off squeeze, suicide squeeze play against Hebron. Melendi taking control of the Maysad semifinal game, basically running the show on defense at the plate and then coming in on the mound to get the win. But that was a great team win all around. And then Senior Day stands out for me as a memorable moment. We had Dana Reynolds, a member of this community, who sang the national anthem. We had the teams introduced by Evan. We had a ceremonial first pitch, which was very touching, by former head of school, Rhys Bonifond, who actually threw the pitch out to his grandson. It was just a great moment in there, so I'd like to thank everybody involved who helped out make that a special day. So thanks everybody for that. And thank you guys for a great season. Is this up next? Okay, up next is Miss Pickett with softball. Thank you.
That works. Okay, I too would like to first start by thanking the athletic department, Nan, for all of your support this season, Josh, Tim, particularly Jake, thank you guys so much. It was a huge, huge help throughout this whole process. Sage Dining as well, they don't just supply the meals, but they also support the girls. The number of times I've heard them have conversations with players, I'm sure many of you have those memories with them, where they'll offer the word of encouragement and hand you the apple or banana. It's the little things that matter, and they help us to get in the right mindset to leave and go on the road every time. So I'd like to thank them for that. I'd like to thank Coach Mclaughlin, who isn't here with us today. She is not here due to work as well. She was enthusiastic, she was kind, she brought her skills and knowledge, and she brought a softer touch to the team that I really appreciate, and I know that the girls did as well, so I want to thank her for that. I couldn't have asked for a better co-coach this season, and it really added to the experience. And then finally, I want to acknowledge our 2 seniors and thank them for their dedication as well, Emma Gardner and Emma Robes-Kenworthy, the Emma Squared. They both stepped into a new sport with enthusiasm and a determination to learn the game, and they were just fantastic additions the whole season. They stepped in and played in games in really tough positions, and they always had smiles on their faces, and when things went wrong, they were the first to stand back up, brush it off, and keep going. So we thank you both, and really appreciate your dedication to the team. Spring is always an odd season. It's such a short season. That being said, we walked away just under 500. We won 4, we lost 5. Our final game against Gould, which was for the Maysad Championship, it went into extra innings, but disappointingly ended in a loss. It is worth noting that the first time we played against Gould, we were mercied. The second time we faced them, we lost by 2, and in the third, we were ahead almost the entire game. So really put up a fight in that final round, and I couldn't be more proud of the efforts that the girls gave, particularly in that final game when the temperatures got up into the high 80s. So to me, our record against Gould is really the sign of our progress. In the beginning of the season, we had multiple players who hadn't played before, and so we spent a lot of time working on those fundamentals, and their dedication to learning those fundamentals is what allowed us to be successful. By the end, we became this competitive entity. They displayed mental and physical toughness despite the weather and other obstacles. We had numerous games canceled, rescheduled, and they were always willing to jump and make the adjustments necessary to meet whatever came at us. And so that was also extremely helpful and just led to a really great experience. So thank you, girls. Getting into the 3 awards, our Most Improved Player Award goes to the player that asks more questions than I ever even knew was possible in my entire life. And I teach freshmen. So it took it made every single situation better. She took every opportunity to look closely at each movement, at every single play, at each decision, and she asked thorough and poignant questions that helped her clarify both the how and the why of each scenario. She dissected the mechanics of batting and throwing to work on perfecting her game. It's truly German engineering. And really, to the best of her ability, despite the limited time she had to play this game, she learned everything she could about it and just took the whole thing on with a zest. So, as voted by her peers, the Most Improved Player Award goes to Anna Rhoda. All right, our MVP award this season is going to our pitcher. Phoebe faced many games that came down to her performance on the mound. On numerous occasions, she struck out batters for crucial third outs with bases either fully loaded or nearly so. And I was stressed. And Phoebe would come off and look at me, and I'm stressed, and she's stressed, and together we became unstressed. But she got us out of numerous situations that certainly stressed me out. I couldn't have done what you did under pressure, for the record. Beyond her talent, she was also one of the most positive faces at practice each day. She is goofy, she's kind, she's supportive, she's competitive in each exercise. It doesn't matter what drill we are doing, she has a kind and enthusiastic word to say for each player. And that changes the tone in a way that just, it's Phoebe. She welcomed all of the players to the field regardless of their experience levels, and I think that each player can probably say that they got better in part due to Phoebe's unwavering belief in each of them. So as voted by her peers, the MVP award goes to Phoebe Simpson. Okay, and last but not least is our Coaches Award. Although a little bit less gregarious than Phoebe, our Coaches Award goes to another player who is equally as kind and supportive of her peers. Sage shows patience, openness, and support to every person that she meets. She stepped up and shifted positions when we needed her to in our first Gould game. And not just into any position, but we had to move her to catcher when she was the first to say that she was a little bit rusty on that. And she just flew. Nothing, anything that got by her, she was up and on her feet. She controlled the field as nobody really could. She worked through injuries, through sickness. She coached numerous girls in the subtle nuances of shortstop when she was unable to do it. She never got openly frustrated. She never gave up on anyone who messed up. She took the time to explain how they could do it differently instead. She leads by example, and we are lucky to have her as the backbone of this team. And so the Coaches Award goes to Sage Michaud. Thank you.
Before we bring up our next coach, I want to just enlighten a few of you about how things shook out for our tennis programs this year. You may not have seen the guys or the girls around very much. We wound up sending our boys varsity and our girls varsity teams down to Camp Laurel, which is maybe 4 or 5 miles down the road. A beautiful venue, by no exaggeration. It was just amazing. But it took our players off campus, and it was definitely a sacrifice by both the varsity boys and the varsity girls. And on the varsity boys side, their season started right before spring break. We had a meeting in the Commons, and I said, hey, fellas, this is how tennis is going to shake out. We're going to take you down to the tennis center in Augusta, but we're going to have to do it really early in the morning. So you're going to have to meet at Bierce at 5:45, and we'll get you back in time for your first class. And I think a few of the guys looked at me and said, 5:45 in the morning, Hambros? And I said, yeah, so you have a few days to figure out if this is what you're willing to jump into. And surprisingly, the majority of them said, I'm all in. And they knew those words are music to my ears. And I was pretty excited to see that. So we began this process, thankfully it was very short for our driver, of driving the boys down to the tennis center in Augusta. And after a couple days of it, the wonderful Wilbur Shardlow gave me a call and said, hey, I'm in. I'm going to be your coach. Let's get the kids back on campus, and let's give them a different experience. And thankfully, for many of you who don't know Coach Shardlow, because he's down at Laurel, and he's a new member of our coaching staff, he jumped right in with our guys, and he helped our girls coaches and our girls players, worked with Pete. They got together, they came up with wonderful practice schedules and helped out the athletic department significantly in that manner. But the strides that our boys varsity tennis program took when Wilbur jumped in and gave the guys a reasonable wake-up time. I hope none of you were late for class. I hope you got to your first class with no problem after that. But I will be forever grateful to Coach Shardlow for taking over our team and running it the way a high school program should be run and giving these guys a different experience than what they were looking at in early March. So Coach Shardlow, come on up for the Boys Varsity Tennis Awards.
The first thing I should probably do is thank Nan for helping me out so I didn't have to explain how weird this whole thing has been. I have actually the last week been in Florida playing tennis for me. So I had a chance, and she knew this up front, and we talked, the kids knew this up front. I couldn't be here the entire season. This commitment was made a year ago, so it was, but I appreciated it. And I think one of the funniest things was I had to ask the kids, where's beers? Because for me, it was always the admin building. I've been here a little bit before. But, so everything is new in this campus to me, from just everything, the whole building, the whole structure. I've had some background coaching in high school for too many years. And about 4 months ago, I made that commitment that I was not going to coach again. Well, obviously, that went away. And I really do want to thank Nan, I want to thank Pete, Marcia, Jake, Josh, Tim, and everyone else who navigated me through some of these things. Actually, the coaching's probably the easiest part. When I saw these kids, and I had a chance to work with a couple players that I'd known before, but I just felt like I couldn't only do a couple days a week and walk away. It just wasn't fair. That's not the way I operate. I had a fantastic bunch of guys. We had fun. Sometimes I think the toughest decision was where they wanted to eat off a match, after a match. It was pretty good, but I'd like to do something just a little different. Can I get Eric and Pablo to stand up, please? Eric and Pablo, stand up. Okay. They can come up. Yeah, come on up, guys. In fact, I want the entire team up here. Let's go. Everybody, let's go. We don't have that many players. Being off campus, I can't, and I've done this for decades in other schools, but being off campus is so important to have captains that it's a two-way communication. I had two different gentlemen here, Eric and Pablo. They both fulfill separate roles and helped me out tremendously. They may not realize it, but some of the stuff that was done that was just absolutely fabulous. But I do need to recognize them. Okay, I'm going to start a little differently because the first match we had, we lost 3-2 to Hebron. And I could tell everybody was a little bit nervous and kind of a little bit unsure what's going on here. And before the awards, I sat down with Pablo and I said, as a coach, I could see that, but I also knew what we were capable of doing. And to be honest, after that match, it was all over. It was over. We played Hebron, I think, about a week later, if I'm not mistaken. We beat them 5-0. And in tennis, we need to win 3 out of 5. That's how I feel. And whether you get it in doubles or singles doesn't really make any difference. You need 3 out of 5 wins. We more than accomplished that. I don't have my record book in front of me and haven't seen it for a week and a half. But I'd like to thank some of those people that took care of that for me. But all that being said, it got to a point where I suddenly realized how dominant we could be. But it's not me, it's these guys. And after we beat Hebron, we knew the rest of the year we were going to be fine. We could run the table. And we did. It's amazing when you look at some of the skill sets. Out of 40 possible matches, I think we played 8. I don't have the book, but I think maybe we only lost in matches, maybe 5 the whole season. And these guys are loose, sometimes a little bit too loose. Okay, so let's go through how good were we? Well, the Mesa Championships, yes, we won the team. I didn't do anything. They won. I never hit a high school tennis ball in my life. That's true. But in singles, odds-on favorite, no question, the Mesa singles champion, Eric Wu. And to be honest, I'd bet money on that one. Okay, and so would every other coach. And my understanding is, Eric, though, I got told by one of your peers that the last match you decided to go full tilt. Who told you to do that? Pablo. I would have loved to have seen it. I've seen it, but not there. In the doubles, I knew that I had two good doubles teams. I wasn't so sure as we got to the end of the season which team was better. It didn't make any difference. They took care of business. And my goal was to have both doubles teams meet each other in the finals of the Mesa Doubles Championship, which they did do. And so the winners of the doubles championship were Austin and Elias. Step out, guys. And their partners in crime, Pablo and Max, were also within the finalists. Trust me, I wanted to watch that match. But unfortunately, I will tell you, your temperature here was warmer than it was in Florida. It was 85 down there. We had thunder and rain, but anyway. So, you know, that's every coach's possible dream is to get, when you get a skill set this good. And that's why I wanted to bring the whole team. The one that seems to catch up a little bit, I got a couple of guys here I need to recognize. I need to recognize our two-player, Scott, who I understand, in speaking, Scott, you ran out a little bit of gas in the Masons. But number two, Scott. And probably one of the most relaxed people I've seen playing at 3, just Mr. Casual himself, Mateo. And I'm sorry to take up the time, but I haven't seen these guys. I just told them TCB, take care of business. They did, and this is the first time I've seen these guys since they won. So I'm sorry, I just want to take a little time to congratulate them. Okay, individual awards. This is always, it's always tough for me because it's a team sport, even though it's an individual sport. So I got some input from the team. Obviously, the coach's award was mine, but most improved, I had this kid that I threw in playing some doubles, and I knew he'd get a little bit better throughout the season, but I saw a couple things that I really liked. And as the season went along, I could just watch the level of play continue to increase. And this made us solid all the way through. So my choice this year, or with everyone else, choice for most improved player is, I can't even read my own writing, Austin. Obviously, the MVP was no contest. And I don't say that in a negative sense. But when you have a skilled player that's so skilled that we were talking, and I think to be honest, most of the kids in the conference probably didn't want to play him. They really didn't. If you've never seen someone really hit a tennis ball with power and control, ball rotation, this kid, Eric is just an absolute treat. I'll show you one anecdote about Eric. We were drilling earlier in the year, and I'm gassing this kid. He's moving, and he's getting out of gas. And I could see it, so I said to him, I said, Eric, take a break, get some water. He goes, Coach, no, you're the one that needs the break. So MVP for this year, Eric Wu. Coach's Award. Every team has unseen, unheard leaders. To me, it's a combination of attitude, it's a combination of effort, and a lot of times it's just doing the things that make things go better. So this was a little bit of a tough decision because I probably, to be honest, most of these kids could have probably qualified for this. But the person I always remember, the kid with the hat, going, hey coach, always positive, never had to ask him to do anything. He was always doing it before I asked. Just one of those fun kids that kind of keep everything loose. And to be honest, the entire season, I I saw this personality just kind of floating along, happy all the time, playing, but intense. And so for this year, Coach's Award, Elias. Okay, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I didn't write a speech. I tried that one time to win 20 minutes. We're done. I need the guys out later.
They're going to grab a seat.
Okay.
Do the next award.
Okay.
Coach Shardlow is actually going to stay here as we award the male sportsmanship for this spring's athletic award ceremony. He just got off the plane the other day, so I will present this one.
Thank you.
This year's Spring Male Sportsmanship Award goes to a young man who honed his skills tirelessly throughout his time here on the Hill. He spent countless hours being driven to and from training off campus to improve his game. There wasn't a moment that Mr. Heron wasn't treating him in the winter when he returned from his training. If he wasn't on the tennis courts at A-Copy in Augusta, he was in the training room or in the fitness center. In my 4 years here at Kents Hill, I have gotten to know Eric very well. I've gotten to know Eric's mom really well, and we have worked very hard to make sure that we gave Eric the opportunities. And I can tell you the opportunities that Eric took, created for himself, and capitalized on certainly have paid off. My hope is that next year, Eric will be a member of the Fordham University tennis team. His skill, his work ethic is unmatched in my time here on the Hill. This year's Male Sportsmanship Award goes to Eric Wu.
Boys team, this away, picture.
He did just get off the plane. We texted quite a bit yesterday from the airport. Okay, so our next team to distribute awards will be boys Jv Lacrosse. So Carlucci, can you come on up?
Of course not. All right, this time I actually wrote a speech. It'll still be brief. Don't really worry too much. So this year's boys JV lacrosse was a spectacle. And that's putting it lightly and probably mildly. But first, like everybody else, I need to thank Nan, I need to thank Jake, I need to thank Josh, I need to thank Tim, and just about everybody who supported this wackadoo season. And I need to thank Sage, because they gave us early meals, they gave us late meals, they did whatever we really needed. I need to thank P. Kane. He's assistant coach in name only. And all I need to do is listen to him for 5 seconds and realize how little I know about every single sport. He's an encyclopedia, what can you say? And really, the biggest thank you of all is to the 13 guys that we had playing. It made my day a lot better whenever I walked onto the cross field. I thought it was one of my favorite things when Varsity was practicing on the grass, and they were like, what the heck are they doing on our field? That's our field. They should be on the turf. No, don't go on our field again, please. We appreciate that. And you probably appreciate it because I think somebody's shoulder might be out. So, our season was fantastic. We had a lot of guys that it was the first time that they played lacrosse, and it was beautiful to watch. Throwing and catching every single day. You might not like it, but I had fun watching it. the games that we did play when our schedule allowed us to, and when the Maysad teams, they pulled out, unfortunately, but the guys came to play. P. Kane was always in my ear during practice going, "Coach, they're gamers. They're gamers." They just wanted a scrimmage. They just wanted to play. And when we got into those games, you could see it. They really enjoyed it. They had a ton of fun. They wanted it. And I just enjoyed a great spring season with a sport that I've never played myself. So I was right there with them, learning every day from Patrick and just trying to be like them. So to start, we'll start with the Most Improved Player Award. Someone who's never picked up a lacrosse stick, someone who probably has never really heard of lacrosse, somebody that I've seen run more in lacrosse than the sport that he's actually played before. I'd like to give the award to Geronimo Balcazar. He played defense most of the season. We put him at midi one day, and he scored 2 goals. Look at that. I've had a plethora of coaches' meetings with P. Kane. It's mostly just him talking to me, and I can't really say a word edgewise. And we think that the whole team could get the coach's award, but we have to pick one. And we picked the guy that we think exemplifies the team, really shows all of the spirit of being a Husky. The practices weren't designed around him, but everything that he did was for the team. He played catch when somebody needed to play catch. He enjoyed every minute of it, and he really is the soul of the team, and he's a soul of kind of Husky athletics. So, Zach Braithwood, you are the Coach's Award. And he came to practice injured half the time because he took 8 shots to the foot one game. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Every one of those 8 shots did happen. I think Mr. Heron and I were cringing with every time somebody took a shot. So good job, Zach. All right, next up, we're going to move along with track and field. So if Coach Jenkins and Coach Sage could come on up. And again, this is yet another program here that is incredibly successful. And you don't see them very much because these guys travel each day down to Maranacook High School, just a few miles down the road to train. They don't have a single home meet, obviously, because we don't have a home track. But they compete, and they compete every weekend, and they represent Kents Hill amazingly. And I think it's a really wonderful opportunity to honor yet another team that we may not see day in and day out and the successes that they've had. So here you go, coaches.
Thank you, Nan. As others have done, I really need to thank Nan and Josh and Jake and Tim and everybody in athletics. They do so much for us and organize so many things for us. Our season just wouldn't happen without them. We also need to shout out the people at Maranacook, Ron Gifford and Brant, their AD, and everybody who's helped us compete at their venue. Without the use of their track, we would not have a team. Need to thank Coach Sage for everything that she's done for the program, and really appreciate working with you every day. I also need to shout out to Paul, who's been our unofficial driver to many of the meets. Need to shout out Dr. A for her help, and others who have helped us with running some of the events at these meets. It's been a great season. It's actually not over for many of our athletes. I'd like to shout out first our seniors. Jacob Benke, who's a 400-meter runner, triple jumper, long jumper, and 4x4 runner. Chase Suavis Bumps, 100, 200, and 4x1. Wesley Dumas, 100, 200, and 4x1. Brian Sachs, 100-meter and discus. Alana Batchelder, 100, 200, 4x1 disc and jav. Emma Yaskova, 100, 200, and 4x1 and disc. They all set a good example. They worked hard. A lot of them posted career bests this season, and I appreciate all that you guys have done for our program. We had 23 boys on the team and 12 girls this year, which is a huge team. We only had about 20 last year, so we continue to grow. And it's, I think, certainly in recent history, the largest track team that Kents Hill has had in some time. We had 7 regular season meets, 4 at Hyde, 2 at Maranacook, 1 at Greeley High School, and then last week we were at the MASAD Championship at Hyde, where the boys placed 3rd out of 6 and the girls were 2nd out of 6. And we have the New England Championships coming up in Massachusetts on Saturday, and then the state championships at Lewiston High School in a couple of weeks. Track is an individual sport while also being a team affair. They go hand in hand. You can throw, jump, run, sprint, hurdle, vault. There's something for everybody, and I think all of our athletes found something that they enjoyed and could continue to improve upon throughout the season. We had some great victories this season, certainly some rousing individual efforts, and I'd like to thank the entire team for their commitment to improvement and for working together. It's a really fun group. I hope our team is even bigger next year. On to our awards. For the girls, our most improved was a young woman who tried track for the first time this season. She focused on sprints and throws and showed significant improvement over the course of the year. Specifically in throws, she made huge strides in both technique and distance. And as always, she's a pleasure to be around, and I'm glad that she came out for the team, and I hope she comes back next season. Our most improved is Lena Andando. These are voted on by the team. Our girls, most valuable, we had 3 girls receive the majority of the votes, but we had 1 in particular who grabbed the most votes. And the winner this season goes to a young woman who really loves track and field, and she works very hard at it. She typically wins each of her events and often makes it look easy. She's moving on to our last 2 meets of the year, and we expect that, as always, she'll do great things in the 100 and the triple and the long jump. Our MVP this season is Naomi McGadney. The Coaches Award for the girls. This athlete makes running seem effortless, but it's because of all the training and preparation that she puts in that she's able to do so. She's one of the top 800 and 1500 meter runners in the state, and you'd never know it because she's just so unassuming. She's a great anchor on our 4x4 team and an even better teammate and model of professionalism and effort. Our Coaches Award goes to Rosalie Klingler. To our boys, our most improved goes to a young man who joined track for the first time this season and right away was one of our fastest sprinters. However, he worked at his starts and his overall speed and improved his 100 time by almost a second over the season, which is quite a real improvement in the 100. He brought a real willingness to compete and a great attitude every day. I really enjoyed working with him. Our MIP is Chase Suevis Bumps. Bless you. For the boys most valuable, he is quite assuredly the fastest man on campus. He's qualified for the 100, 200, and 400 states and has proven to be one of the best sprinters in MASAD. He brings a flashy smile to match his speed, and we're very excited to see him race in these next 2 championship meets of the year. Our MVP is Alex Cephas. And our Coaches Award, this athlete is a 4-year senior who has been on our track team since its inception a few years back. He's grown up a lot and certainly taken on a real leadership role this year as a senior on the team. We put him in charge of workouts and warm-ups oftentimes, and he just handles it all really, really well. He's been one of our best middle distance runners and jumpers, and we're really looking forward to seeing him compete this weekend as well. We'll definitely miss him next year and thank him so much for everything he's done. Our Coaches Award goes to Jacob Benke. And then lastly, we have a number of outstanding athletes who performed at a high level at the MASAD Championship, and eventually will receive certificates, but many of them are also moving on to the New England and state meets and need to be recognized here. So our all MASAD athletes placed top 6 in their events. So in the 100 for top 6, Alex Cephas, Myasia Williams, and the champion for the girls was Naomi McGadney. For the 200 meters, Alex Cephas, Chase Suavis Bumps, Alana Batchelder, Emma Yaskova, and the champion was Rose Jenkins. For the 400 meter, Alex Cephas, Tema Coming, and Bree Lewis. For the 800 meter, Jonah Jenkins, Eli Reynolds, and the champion for the girls was Rosalie Klingler. In the 1500 meter, Eli Reynolds and champion Rosalie Klingler. In the 300 meter hurdles, champion Rose Jenkins. In the triple jump, both champions, Jonah Jenkins and Naomi McGadney. In the long jump, Micho Patikas, Rosalie Klingler, and champion Naomi McGadney. In the high jump, Jonah Jenkins, Evan Sidnor, and champion Rose Jenkins. In the shot put, Hannah Burke. In the discus, Landon Bleiweiss, Alana Batchelder, and Myasia Williams. In the javelin, Thomas Ostrowski and Alana Batchelder. In our relay teams, second in the 4x100 meter relay was Tenma Alex, Moses McRae, and Micho. And the champions in the 4x1 for the girls were Alana, Kaylee, Feeney, Emma, and Myasia. And in the 4x400 meter relay, third place team, Moses, Jonah, Micho, and Evan. And the champions in the 4x400 meter relay for the girls were Naomi, Bree, Rose, and Rosalie. And then finally, at the MASAD Championship meet, Rose Jenkins was named the most outstanding female athlete for the meet. Rosalie, Naomi, Rose, Bree, Kaylee, Hannah, Thomas, Landon, Jonah, Alex, Micho, Moses, Tenma, and Jacob are all competing this weekend in the New England Championships in Massachusetts, and many of them will also move on to states, and so I want to wish them the best of luck. Thank you all very much.
Wow, that was quite a list of accomplishments by our track and field. And one other thing to share with everyone here is we will have over 19 student athletes receive all MASAD certificates. When you win the MASAD championship, you're allowed to name 4 players to the all MASAD team. If you come in second, you name 3, as well as in tennis, the tournament champions, as well as the top 4 doubles teams. So we will have those certificates for you guys as soon as we can get them hot off the presses. Right now, I would like to ask Ms. D to come to the podium for, I'm hoping you, come on up. We'll do it again. You got this. Right now, we are going to present our Female Sportsmanship Award for our spring season.
The Female Sportsmanship Award goes to a player who never loses her cool, always comes to practice, to games with intensity, fierceness, but also class, sportsmanship. She has the respect of her teammates, and she stepped into this sport this year, earning herself a starting position. The Sportsmanship Award goes to Clara. And now on to girls varsity lacrosse. This entire team deserves the Most Improved Player Award. We went from a team who struggled with the basics of catching and throwing, causing Coach Huron and myself to have a few exploding head emoji moments, to a team that went undefeated in May-Sads with a 6-game winning streak and took home the championship in a decisive win. And that was with 4 players, starters on the field, who had never played lacrosse before this season. Well, we never quite managed to learn how to balance our lines and drills, dress appropriately for cold or rainy games, figure out who was responsible for the ball bucket, and not to eat burgers and fries on Manu Mondays. The strides these players made, both individually and collectively, are so impressive. This was a group that was truly we before me. Their team-first mindset was exemplified by our seniors. Through Lauren McKellig's selflessly playing in goal all season, through endless bruises. With co-captains Shay Cheney and Emma Knowles serving as our defensive and offensive anchors, helping their teammates to grow and improve, they set the tone for this winning season. From the opening minute in our Messalonsky scrimmage to the final whistle against Hebron, they put team before individual through small acts. Whether it was players willingly switching positions, taking the 3rd row in the van that shall not be named, driving hours to stand on freezing sidelines, or celebrating a buzzer-beater goal from a player coming off the bench. We had some big wins, and we kept our cool in moments where we could have lost our composure, coach included. We came a long way from our early days of speed ladder cradling competitions. Sophomores, I'm not sure you won any of those, just saying. Our play as a pack is what made this season so rewarding, and also what makes it bittersweet to have to say goodbye. We will miss all of our non-returners, and you will forever be a part of this program's Husky pride. A special shout out for Emma and Shay's 4-year contributions, both on and off the field, to this program. You all leave indelible footprints. Lastly, we want to thank those who supported the team, including our beloved grandparent fans, and a special gratitude to the athletics department who dealt with all the seasons and moving puzzle pieces. And now to some special recognition. The Most Improved Player. This player was brand new to the game of lacrosse. Through hard work, spending many nights playing wall ball, she went from a beginner on the bench to a reliable starter. Her teammates had this to say about her. Her stick skills and knowledge of the game are very impressive. She went from never playing to successfully passing, catching, dodging, and scoring. She's a #slayer. A wonderful teammate, a delight to coach, as well as a talented speller of her name. As voted by her teammates, the Most Improved Player Award goes to Sarah Maud Richards. The Most Valuable Player, as voted by her teammates, they had this to say about our most valuable player. She's a complete player. She was dirty. She's amazing to watch. She led our plays and wasn't selfish. She's our rock on offense, an essential playmaker. She could always be counted on when we needed a goal. Known for her fierce drive to the cage, sometimes too fierce of checking, she's a feisty competitor. Our offensive rock star, veteran leader, one of our top leading scorers of this program, I knew she was special from the day she took the field as a freshman. The most valuable player goes to Emma Knowles. And now Coach Heron to do the Coaches Award.
Bend this down. First, I want to say thank you to Misty. It's been an honor to coach alongside you this whole season. To you guys, my team, thank you for letting me come to practice and have fun every day. You guys really showed up and made every day so much better. The first week of practice, I came home and was just like, man, I miss lacrosse. I'd been 2 years away for the first time since I was in 4th grade, I think it was. So thank you for a reintroduction and showing up and working so hard every day. I now have the honor to announce the Coaches Award. So this player brings a focused intensity to practice, a constant desire to improve by seeking feedback. On more than one occasion, she sought me out and said, can you watch me in this drill? Can you watch me in this practice to give me these pointers? What can I improve on? She does the small things on the field, but also off the field that really can't go unnoticed. She's reliable, respectful, and extremely coachable. She has never had a yellow card, not just this season, but for her entire career, which is really incredible, particularly as a defender. She plays the game always putting her team first. New players highlighted her encouragement and support. When her season was ended with disappointment, to say the least, she was gracious and on the sidelines of our championship game, passing out wet towels with me to make sure her teammates were cool enough during timeouts. This year's Coaches Award goes to the queen of our defensive crash, Shay Cheney.
All right. Next up, P. Hodge, JV co-ed tennis. This year, our tennis program had the really wonderful opportunity of joining forces, and it was a co-ed team, which was exciting to watch and really fun to watch come together under Coach Hodgen's leadership. All yours, Pete.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm not actually sure that I love JV tennis. But I'm absolutely sure that I love the players that came out for JV tennis this year. They were an absolute pleasure to have a chance to coach. As Ms. Ambrose mentioned, this is the first year where we've had a unified program with both girls and boys. I've coached boys JV tennis in the past. I've coached girls JV tennis in the past. This was a really different experience that I valued and appreciated, and honestly, I would have a tough time putting together a more lovable, more kind, more fun and funny group of athletes to come together for the team. Our ambitions, I guess, as a team were modest, and that's because I kind of set them there at the beginning of the year when we talked about expectations. I really tried to stress that we weren't practicing in preparation for matches as such. Although we would have matches, we'd have a chance to represent the school, we'd have a chance to compete. But in my mind, we were playing tennis and practicing tennis so that we could have tennis as a lifelong sport and a lifelong activity, and something that, I think I even said that it's not the matches we're prepping for, it's the summer. It's so that you can get together with friends and hit a ball around. It's so you can go out on the courts at night and put the lights on, maybe with people that you've never played with before, but just hit around and have fun. That's tennis as I grew up playing it, and it's the kind of tennis that I think we pretty much dedicated ourselves to over the course of the season. Our highlights were quiet and were sort of modest, and for me, they're really memorable. I loved seeing Alec Vagliano, who was far and away our best player in terms of tennis skill set, winning his games against at the number one singles against his opponent at Gould for our first match. He was the only person who won their sets in all the matches that we had. But it didn't matter. It was cool to see, and it was really great to see the way that Alec took his experience with the game and his skill set and shared that with other people on the team who were less experienced. And there were other quiet moments, like the way that Delphin, who was brand new to the sport, every time she won a point, would do this pirouette on one of her heels and hit rackets with whoever she was the tennis partner with, just out of joy that a shot had gone that right. Staying around after practice with Nicole to just work on her backhand at her request, because that was something that she knew was a weaker part of her game and that she wanted to get better at. Us as a team, and I'm not saying this to take a dig at any other programs, but in fact, if anything, it's a compliment. Most sensible programs had gone inside on one of the rainy days that were as the storm clouds were coming in, and we just stayed out on the courts and played. We continued to play as many games as we could until the courts just became totally unworkable about 45 minutes in. And it was just, for me, that was really joyful. It was kind of a cool thing to see the team do, and I consider that in our path toward just loving tennis as a real accomplishment. So although the matches might not have, we might not have won a lot on paper or in a formal setting, I feel like in terms of setting out to hit certain marks and to keep it fun and to keep it light and to keep it friendly with one another. That was something that we were able to do, and I really, that was all on them. I was a relatively earnest but disorganized coach, and they came together and just really had a nice time with one another as friends and as tennis players. We do have 2 awards to give out. One is recognizing our most improved player. This was voted on by the members of the team, and they identified in a small team, there were still 5 or 6 different players who got at least got at least 2 votes for most improved. So there was a lot of improvement across the board. This player was, on the other hand, the one that got significantly more votes than others, and for me, it's kind of a pleasure to be awarding this player this particular award, because back in the fall with JV Soccer, Jonathan Platten also won most improved for JV Soccer, so it's neat for me now, a couple seasons later, to once again have a chance to recognize the player that his own teammates said, yeah, this is the guy. He started really new to the sport, came out, played doubles for a while until he insisted he really wanted to play singles and wanted to work toward that. He's a very competitive dude, but wears it in a cool way, and has taken the time to play tennis pretty much with everybody who will play him on our team, and then with people off the team as well, to try to get better and better. So this year's most improved player is Jonathan Platten. The Coaches Award is going to a young player and a player who was not experienced at this game at all, and gave himself, and I say this with admiration, he kind of threw some hurdles at himself in the course of working on his game. He played every practice and match I ever saw in a winter hat, no matter what the weather. He has a very unorthodox grip to his racket when he plays. If you're a tennis player, you'll see it right away. If you're not a tennis player, you'll still see it right away. And yet he's absolutely all heart, and in a team that was heavy on heart and humor and kindness. This young guy really set the tone. He was often one of the first, if not the first, to practice. He was often the last to leave, or one of the last to leave. He would play anybody and with anybody. He we left the Alphon when we were getting our media day photos taken, and practice was done. Like that was our thing. And as I walked back, heading home on the way by the courts, there's Jacob Nowie playing with Ava Smith, who was an honorary on our team, but she's not a high school tennis player yet. And he was just like helping her learn how to play. It was just the coolest, sweetest thing I've ever seen. And that was kind of, that was Jacob Nowie's gear all season. He was just learning the sport, loving the sport, digging the camaraderie. He's largely responsible for not just, and I would actually credit the whole team for being so welcoming to Ava and having her play with us, and she was a joy. She was so much fun to have with us. But Jacob was also instrumental in making it such a warm and open environment that we had a lot of honorary people who just kind of showed up at practice. Ashley Charles, hanging out at practice all the time. Gladstone Meadows, hanging out at practice. And it was great, and I really feel like it has to do with the entire team's tone and style and heart. But at the core of that was this young guy, new to the school, new to the program, new to the sport. And so the Coaches Award this year goes to Jacob Nowie. Thank you.
Okay, so we intentionally saved one team for last, and I hope that he doesn't get a ticket in Reed Field, but Coach Averill is en route. We knew we would be cutting it close. That's why boys varsity lacrosse is going last. But with the schedule coming up for the McCoy Cup and the time that he's already missed, we knew we had to push the envelope with getting him out of school. And this is sort of what you face when you have some off-campus coaches. So Coach Averill will be here shortly. But right now, I'm going to do something a little off script, and I'm going to ask all of our senior student athletes to please stand. Any senior that's in the room right now, please stand. And I'm going to ask you to remain standing. Some of you are four-year seniors here on the Hill, and next week we will recognize you with your four-year varsity blanket if you've been a member of a four-year varsity team. 4 years ago, I was new like you. Jack Bonifant was much, much shorter, as was Melendi, and a lot quieter. Jacob Benke was still as quiet. And when you came here, my hope for you was that you and I would leave Kents Hill better than we found it. And I look at this class of 2022, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that from an athletic standpoint, you are leaving the Hill in a few short weeks better than you found it. And for that, I am grateful. I am grateful that I got to be a part of your journey, that you got to interact with some of the best coaches in the world, and that you got to build friendships that will last you a lifetime. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being the best Huskies I could ever have dreamt you to be in these 4 years. Congratulations on what lies ahead, and thank you for everything you brought to us. He's still parking the car. Okay, so a few other thank yous that I missed at the beginning of the day, because I did want to talk a little bit about Title IX. A big, humongous shout out to Sherry, Stacia, you name it, David, Mike, the whole gang at Sage. And I think if Mr. Heron doesn't just dial Sherry's phone number once in a while just for fun over the summer, I'll give him some money to do it. They were literally like on speed dial. So for everything that Sage has done for us, particularly last weekend when we faced just an unprecedented heat and such a quick turn in time, I know just the amount of Gatorade that we needed on the turf for our games here. I can't tell you how grateful I am to have had the opportunity to work with Sage and interact with those guys every day in making lives better for all of our athletes. Another guy who has just found his way into our hearts and is the biggest Husky fan going is Jared. And many of you guys know Jared because he was one of the greatest moments in my time on the Hill will definitely be when the lacrosse team took the Maysad Championship trophy over to Jared at the fence on Saturday. I don't know that any of you will understand how much that meant to Jared and how much you mean to him. I know he's not here. He was here for the Winter Awards. But if you're watching, Jared, thank you for all you do to keep the Alphon clean and to support our Huskies, whether it's a note on the whiteboard or just a high five in the hallway. I know in the winter, literally all of us probably have a cavity or two. He dropped off Reese cups to, I think, every team, and just to say congratulations on your season. To Paul, without Paul, like Coach Jenkins said, I don't know, track would be hoofing it. We'd be warming up on our route down to different meets. So a big thanks to Paul and to the folks at Maranacook. They have been a dream to work with and really just accommodating in every way. We've made offers to do things to help them. They're like, nope, we're good, we got it. They let Josh and I measure the shot put last week. I thought that was awfully brave of them. But we are really thankful to them. To the folks at Camp Laurel, and for the first time in my time here, we reached out, we asked them for help, and they helped us. And nobody could hold a candle to the tennis facilities at Camp Laurel. And we were lucky enough to be able to train and compete there. As we talk about track, I want to thank the entire Jenkins family, from Anne Marie to Mr. Jenkins' parents to Mrs. Jenkins' parents. Literally, Hyde would always ask us for meet workers, and we would have home events. So Mr. Heron definitely couldn't leave. I couldn't leave. Mr. Reynolds would often go to help when he could, but we could always count on the Jenkins family to have a good number of folks out there with a tape measure. And right now, I really want to take a minute to thank Mr. Heron, who just jumped back into the room. I think Mr. Reynolds was sitting in the back. I hope he didn't duck out. I know that Mr. Corey was here earlier. What happens in the Alphon, what happens on the turf, what happens with transportation would not happen without the group effort in the Alphon. Between Jake and Josh and Tim, countless text messages, whether they're really early in the morning on a weekend or really random on a weeknight. Hey, did you see the baseball uniforms come into the laundry room? Has anybody seen the lacrosse uniforms? Are they clean? They've got a game tomorrow. That's the stuff we talk about every day. Do you know if this team's grabbed their meal money? Hey, does anybody know where the key to minibus 5 is? While for students this might not really faze you, for coaches you all know what that feels like when you wander into a minivan or a vehicle and see that gas tank is on a quarter of a tank. Without Tim and Jake and Josh, the app would never be updated. The rain delays, softball, I don't know that any team in my career has ever been impacted by changes in the schedule as much as softball was this year. So without their help, it really wouldn't fly. There wouldn't be clean uniforms. There wouldn't be lacrosse planning the field. We wouldn't be able to transition fields anywhere near as quickly as we did last Wednesday. I felt like I was working at Fenway. We were running around getting plugs in base holes and moving different things and getting goals out of the way. And these guys really deserve a lot of credit for all that they do and the hours that they put in that people just don't see. So I want to thank them for everything that they've done for us. I am trying to hold off for Coach Averill. I do know who his award winners are, but it will not mean anywhere near as much coming from me, although I can ad-lib very well, and I think he should be heading in. I do want to thank the Health Center. It did not stop after winter sports season. We were shipping teams off with rapid test kits, and we were taking phone calls to say there were positive pools. And I hope that when it comes fall next year, there are no more rapid test kits anywhere to be found and they're no longer needed. That would be a real dream, that's for sure. So I am going to do a little bit of a season summary for boys varsity lacrosse. I had the wonderful opportunity to be at all of their home games, to spend a lot of time with Coach Averill talking about games after they happened. And it was a really interesting year for our boys varsity lacrosse team. Like I said about the seniors in their 4 years here, the seniors only had one other spring. Let's be really clear. If you were here or even at another school, you really only experienced 2 spring seasons in your 4-year high school career. And so again, we were getting back on the horse for the first time across the board here. And to watch our boys varsity lacrosse team and the evolution it's made in the 4 years I've been here with only 2 true seasons was fascinating. From the beginning of the season and an early play day where they got a bunch of teams up here on the hill and tried their skills against some public schools to their time right here on Saturday. And I got to tell you, fellas, what I watched you do on Saturday was mind-blowing. I remember standing in the tent trying to cool down after presenting the girls with their Maysad trophy, looking at Mr. Here and saying, thank goodness Coach Averill just arrived. You ready? You got 2 minutes. Don't be long.
How many?
Keep it on the rails. No.
10 minutes?
No, you got as much as you need, but keep it on the rails. We've been here since 1. I'll finish my story later. It was really good.
Do you guys hear me good? Here we go. All right. So, I really don't know what I'm going to say, but to recap this season, it was pretty good group of guys that we had. Obviously, I've learned a few different languages, as I would tell them. All right. Coming here after last year with just being able to play in-house and playing Gould a couple times, really didn't know what to expect. Had an assistant coach that was coming from Kobe. Really, I don't know what he expected. He's at his internship right now, so just in everything. But being able to bring in the athletes, thanks to Coach Pravs, and everything, so that we could actually have a big roster that had some talented athletes that just need to learn the game of lacrosse. Within 1 week, we were playing Gardner, and a lot of guys didn't have a clue what I was saying, and figuring out, like, hey, stay back, fade away, pop out, those types of things. Rotating in a triangle is Matt Fiegenberg's like, Coach, can we do this set and rotate in triangles? Yeah, that's what we're going to get to. It's going to take some time. But eventually, like, things started to click, and we had success started off, and then just kept winning and building off that. We had adversity, and I think the thing that stung the most was that OT game against Hebron, and it just fueled us for the rest of the season. And we brought home that silver trophy over there this Saturday. First time since 2009. There was actually another team that won it. So I think we just had a very good season, led by some guys that have some experience and a lot of guys that had a huge growth curve. And just really appreciative for them for taking their time, showing up every day, being willing to be coached hard, and taking that coaching and teaching and developing into a pretty good lacrosse player for most of these individuals. So, most improved, from the beginning of the season, not knowing where he was going to play, not understanding lacrosse, only handled the lacrosse time maybe a few times. To the end of the season, he was an integral part of our team. He started as a short stick D midi, and then eventually was getting some time on attack and on the man up. So that is Etienne Gagné. All right, the Coaches Award, when Coach Dillon and I were trying to decide in who we were going to go with and everything, this guy just jumped right off. He's very tall, all right, makes me look like maybe a dwarf, and I really appreciate him showing up every single day from last year, from being a leader to continuing being the leader this year. I just really appreciate everything he's done. And just he was like kind of my eyes, always willing to send me a text like, hey, Coach, what's going on? He's nervously, frankly, texting me, hey, Coach, where are you right now? I'm like, I'm teaching a class. So Matt Welton. Most valuable player, from day one, he stood out for our team. And everything he did, he led us by really just his actions. He let, like a lot of guys I was constantly saying is play with your actions, lead by your actions, shut your mouth and just play, right? And just let the play do the talking. And this is a prime example. He led us with goals, led us with assists. He could do face-offs. He literally could do anything we asked him to do. And really appreciated him. And he always had a smile on his face. Even when he was getting locked off, he still had a smile on his face. And that is Matt Fiegenberg. All right, so we're good? This is shorter than my drive here.
That's good. Is this your phone? Should I call Coach on his phone? All right, folks, thank you for your patience. I just want to say to you guys one last time before we adjourn, as you head into summer, seniors, we wish you much luck in whatever the next chapter will bring for you. To our underclass students who are coming back to the Hill, this is a wonderful opportunity, and as I shared with a few teams last week, to separate ourselves even further from our competition. Use this time to get a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, and to maybe try your hand at something that interests you saw this year that maybe weren't ready to jump into, so that when we come back here in the fall, that we're even better Huskies. And this is pretty hard to top. The fall and the winter were amazingly successful. This was a hell of a year here on the Hill. Let's make next year even better. Good luck, everybody.